And it's another Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. And we want to welcome you to this episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network, sponsored, produced by, and presented by every week by the group here at CVC Success Group. The reason we do this, hey, give you some ideas. Maybe open your eyes to things that you may not be looking at. A lot of times, things are creeping up from behind you. So we'll often have a lot of different guests on here today. It'll just be the three of us. And we do have a pretty important subject matter to discuss. And usually, so you'll know, our episodes, the topic comes because the problems we see are happening out in the field. And this is one that's constantly ongoing that we're going to talk about today, which is, do you have a second string of players ready to step into the game? Do you have a second string? Because amazingly, most companies don't have this second string. So what's the problem? Think about it. What happens if one of your people, your key people, tomorrow morning decided this isn't what they want to do for a living any longer and just resigns unexpectedly? Or you have a player that's not measuring up that you're needing to terminate. Or what if one of your key people were to get injured suddenly today? Several instances of this have come up in the last few days of a key player in the company going down due to an injury. Or what about if they have a personal health issue? Also, there's situations of this where people now cannot come to work, cannot do their jobs because of a physical issue that has come up in their personal lives. There's all kinds of reasons. But what do? It's going to create stress. It's going to create chaos. It's going to mean you got to adjust your schedules. And you're probably going to be disappointing customers. And you're going to have the risk of a bad reputation, bad reviews, because you have disappointed the customer. Because we all know that consumers love to let their fingers do the walking if something went wrong, and they want to quickly chastise you every single day. So you got to be aware of these things. So, Josh, as I went through those things, what's your thoughts on this? Is this something people need to be concerned about?
Every company needs to be concerned about this. Obviously for a number of reasons. I've personally went through it where I had to go back into the field, whether I was physically capable or not, because bills had to get paid. Ongoing recruitment and training is utmost for this, particular topic, and keeping new hires, rolling through. Because, to be honest with you, I think we say out of 3 people we hire, we expect 1 to stick. And that's after going through the whole interview process. So figuring out who's going to do what and are they going to stick around is very expensive, and it is very time consuming and ongoing constantly.
Very much so. And you've also got the matter of shorter career spans. People just don't stay in positions 20 and 30 years any longer. We did a study some years ago, found out that the average blue collar home service employee is working less than a 3-year career in this path. So, Cheryl, what about you? You deal with people that are having you do their interviewing, their recruiting for them. How often are you faced with a client that all of a sudden calls you up and says, hey, we got to find somebody now. I just lost one of my key guys. How often does this happen?
More than I would like for it to happen. It seems like lately, every week or so, one company, I do for quite a few, but still somebody's losing a key employee. And the bad problem is they have no one to step in. Reasoning, that's why we hire 12 months out of the year. Even if you've got a full staff, we're still looking for employees.
Okay, what about the data, the statistic that Josh mentioned, hire 3 to get 1? What's your feelings on this?
5, get 1.
You're saying 5 to get 1.
Nowadays.
Okay. Because we got people going through this right now.
The thing about it is, when I'm saying Josh is probably using it on a real short term, like a couple months, but in especially the business that we're talking about more than anyone else is usually the chimney service business. And when careers are just 2 years now, it was 3 before, after looking at resume after resume, I'm seeing people at jobs 1.5 to 2 years and they move on and they're there 1.5 to 2 years. Actually found one that was there 3 years the other day. And the thing about it is when I ask, and I'll do this a lot of times in the interview, how long are you looking to stay in this position? Well, if I enjoy it, probably about 2 years, and I'd like to learn something else. I'm trying to get as much in my wheelhouse as I possibly can. And so you know that that's probably not going to be one of your long-term employees. But you're not finding 5 and 10-year tenures anymore in hardly any industries.
Right. So to solve this problem, what do you got to do? Well, we're talking about a second string. We're talking about a higher expense to do business. So you've got to charge appropriately and have a profit margin that can allow you to do this, to build this second string. Number two, you got to have the right interview process. You got to be able to interview people, onboard people, and train people. And you've also got to have systems for people to follow. I want you to think about something. You ever been to a Chick-fil-A? Chick-fil-A, what do you see there? It's a business built on my pleasure. If you ask anything of a Chick-fil-A employee, it's my pleasure to do this for you. Just think about it. This is what you've got to build. You got to build in your business the culture that you become a destination employer, that people are knocking on your door to become a part of your team. You got to have reviews on Glassdoor, on Indeed.com. You got to have an influx of people coming in. And Cheryl, do you get that influx of people that are just clamoring for a job?
Actually, this has been the weirdest week. I've had 3 that were actually deadheaded for a job. But then I take all the others and they are speculating. They're looking around. But I had one exactly almost begging to be hired for this particular company. And that makes me feel good because I know the company's done their job. He wasn't just looking for a job. He was looking for that job.
Yeah.
And that's those are few and far between.
And I did a couple swap meetings this week, and one of the swap meetings had a new employee that had been there about a month. And he was a very intelligent young man. He had the right mindset, had the right behavior patterns, had good answers. And I asked him, I said, well, how did you select this company? Well, number one, their ads that they were promoting business on social media caught his eye. But then from there, he went into the website. He looked at the reviews and he decided that his company was one that he wanted to be involved with. And that's what you got to do to build this ongoing recruitment plan. Would you agree, Cheryl?
You have to, because most of the employees out there, the bad part, they're out there just clicking jobs. They don't. I've even had them asked, and what does this company do? And these are after I vetted out what didn't fit the criteria. So if you don't present your company as a place someone wants to be, these people are just looking for a job, and we want them to look for the job. And I
Right.
think that's great. And we're finding that I'm getting a lot now off of Facebook. Most of my companies have me attached to their Facebooks, and the ads are sent directly to me. And so a lot of them are coming in. We've got to the point now we're actually having to ask, where did you find us? And Facebook's turning out to be one of the larger ones.
Okay. Well, like I was talking about, to do this, you got to have a recruitment program. You got to have an onboarding system. You got to have a training curriculum. You got to have a system for people to follow. And systems are something that a lot of companies don't have. They don't have written documented systems for people to follow. Josh, what's your experience with people having documented written processes and how to do the job?
As in what I've seen as a consultant.
Yes.
Most people don't have anything. They don't even know where to start with some of it. Is my biggest thing I would say. You can really just start with some job mapping was the easiest one. But I wanted to actually, and I'll wrap this up with, you need three things to have a good business. Systems are part of it, good people the other, and the ability to let go as the owner. And I've said that before. Without the systems, you're not going to have the other two. Good people aren't going to come in and deal with disorganization and bad people being there and able to get away with things.
Yeah. You got to have a system for everything. You're recruiting, you got to have a system. For your onboarding, there's got to be an onboarding system for you to follow. Your interview process, you got to have a system to follow. Cheryl, have you got a system you follow with interviewing people?
Very much so. It's very regimented. I don't break it.
Okay.
It's
So
if you do, then you miss the part that you need.
okay. So what are you trying to find out about this person that you're going to suggest to be moved on in the interview process? What are you looking for?
Number one, I'm looking for the fact that they're capable, they're able physically to do this particular job. If they are they mentally alert? Are they able to carry on a conversation? Communication to me is a huge skill. I'm looking more for the culture, and we use that word, but I like it's just the way a person acts. Is he going to fit into the company? Is he going to be able to communicate with the other people? Also, you can't be a lone wolf and be a part of a team. So I'm looking for that. But I've got to have someone that can speak well. I've got to have someone that can learn. We don't my thought is, yes, we put a lot of people into labor positions, but that's your second string, and they don't need to be on second string long. They've got to be able to be made into a first string person, because if you don't, like you said, the people that are going to quit at the top, you're not going to have your second string. So I'm looking, even though I'm looking for a labor, an apprentice, whatever you want to call it, I'm looking for a technician, because that's where I want them to get to. And if I don't think I can take them to that, they're not going to help the company.
Right. And that's one of the positions you need for, if you want to call them apprentices, you want to call them laborers, you want to call them helpers, whatever you want to classify this as. This person is actually in a training program. So when the guy they work with is out, leaves, goes on vacation, that truck still runs. That truck is still going. Same thing for the office. What are you going to do for backup? What's your second string? What about your accounting? Right now, I know of one company that their bookkeeper has had to go out because of health reasons. This has been going on for several months. It looks like several months are going to go by. So he had to go to an outside source to fill in the role during that period. You got to be prepared as a business owner in what you do. Okay. So, Josh, before we close today's session out, you got anything else to add to this?
I did want to talk about the Facebook advertising just real quick. I would say Facebook advertising is more, it's active, not reactive. And it's not, I'm trying to figure out what the word of passive is. Like Indeed is passive. Like we throw the ads out there and then hopefully someone is trying to find us. Facebook is more, again, whatever the opposite of passive is, active. It's out there. You're putting it in people's nudes feeds, whether they want to see it or not. And that's one of the reasons why you're seeing it with among maybe the younger group, is that you're putting ads in front of them instead of waiting for them to go look for an ad.
Okay, good point. Anything else?
That's it. That's all I have.
Okay, brother. Cheryl, what about you? Anything you'll add to this discussion before we check out for the day?
Just always remember, a baseball team has a second string. They're there for a reason. And I think that's why businesses have to have them, for that very same reason. When somebody's not producing, somebody's not playing the game correctly, they need a new first string person.
Okay, Cheryl, let me ask you another question. We call it phishing. How successful is it to be searching Indeed for resumes? Are people having success with this?
Hit and miss. It's definitely a hit and miss thing. The thing about it is are you fishing in somebody else's pond, and is it going to cause a problem for you? We have found, do I do it? I look, yes, I do. But I've not found that many more that were at the point of being fished out, if that makes sense. They're not ready to be pulled out. You can, if you've got an employer with a high pay situation, yeah, you can snag one. But if somebody's hiring on just for the pay, they're not going to last.
Okay, let's ask another question. Recruitment companies. We're seeing a lot of companies that are offering their services to recruit employees. What's your experience with these recruitment companies? Because I see them come across my social media feed all the time. What are you seeing?
I get one or two a week. It's not abnormal. I have someone, they'll send it to the business owner and they'll send it on to me. If you don't mind paying somebody parts of somebody's salary for a year or 2 years, however long their level is, that's one thing. But that's cutting into your employees. I mean, you're paying to get them. When they say that they'll hire for free, they hire for free. But once they hire, then they are allotted a percentage of the employee's salary. So that can add up a lot at times, especially if you're a higher paid company. And I'm not finding any of my people that I'm dealing with that want to do that.
Okay. What about ZipRecruiter? We hear ZipRecruiter all the time. Are you seeing people are having success with ZipRecruiter?
ZipRecruiter was really large at one time. Well, they're still large, but they were really active at one time. And just maybe get kicked off of here for this, but their money got more important than their customer service. They've slacked off that a little bit, but they're slowly but surely, I'm seeing them come back. Indeed, still running the higher gambit at the moment, but their fees are getting quite excessive too. So I'm starting to see a few new ones that are just in the baby stages of putting their selves together.
What about Glassdoor? That's one I've seen lately.
I've actually seen a couple come from Glassdoor, not many. They're like you say, they're not in the baby stages, but they haven't quite as expanded as broad as Indeed has. Indeed got its foothold when ZipRecruiter kind of got pushed out. And I think it's like every other big corporation, another one's going to take their place. They're going to, but anywhere that you look, I mean, we look at all of them because we definitely want to make sure we're covering what's going on.
Got you covered. Okay. Well, like I said, don't know if we give you any definitive answers today. We've given you some suggestions, but build up your second string, build up your SOPs, build up your recruiting program, your onboarding program, your systems, and your training. And be prepared. You never know when this day is going to hit you as a manager. And with that, we're going to end this session of the CVC Home Service Success Network. Appreciate you joining us always. And with that, we'll see you next week on our next episode. Please know it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a pleasure to have you join.